Today we're going to talk about Vizsla Silver. What is the situation after a collapse of nearly 50% in the share price? Vizsla Silver is going to be one of the big stories of this mining bull run in gold and silver stocks, either as one of the biggest busts and the grave for hundreds of millions of dollars, or as the 10-bagger chance of a lifetime. Let's get into it.
Welcome to Hot Trades of the Day, your show for swing trading ideas for the coming days, weeks and month.
Welcome, my name is Daniel Helmy and let's jump right into it. This is the chart daily of Vizsla Silver and you see the bloodbath, okay, probably should have chosen better wording here, for the past 2.5 weeks. Vizsla Silver, one of the best top 10 advanced explorers, developers for gold and silver in the world, a darling of the mining industry, collapsed 50% within a few days. What's going on? What are the lessons that we can learn for our investments in this mining cycle? And how will I play the Vizsla Silver situation? Because I am a shareholder of Vizsla Silver. I've been for a long time. And I'm not sure if this is for you, if you're a Vizsla shareholder, because I'm not a financial advisor. I'm not your financial advisor. I don't want to be your financial advisor. I want to show you what I see in the stock, risks, opportunities, everything. That's what we're going to talk about right now. So let's get the facts going. And we're going to start with the overview of the company real quick. I assume most of you are familiar with Vizsla Silver. Yeah, it says on the homepage, developing the next world-class silver asset, and that's no lie. This company is legit. And they have one of the top silver assets in Mexico that they have been exploring and now early stage developing. Very successful. I've been in the company since its exploration days. And it is a success story on top of a success story on top of a success story until January 23rd. So it's all about the Panucho project near Mazatlan. It's a world-class project. The company has done everything right. Again, they have a feasibility study out. Look at the numbers. Fantastic. 20 million ounces of silver equivalent per year. And if you look to the right side, all-in sustaining costs below $11. I mean, they're printing money if this gets into production. And they amassed large land packages to fuel more exploration and increase their reserves and resources. Yes, Vizsla Silver already has reserves, not only resources. This is a legit big-time company. It's a multi-billion-dollar company. They have $445 million US in cash. It's incredible. Almost anybody that I know in the mining sector or that whose stuff I read, everybody's kind of in silver. But now things have changed dramatically. And it starts on January 23rd when 10 employees of Vizsla Silver get kidnapped by people from the Sinaloa cartel, pardon me, because this project of Vizsla Silver is in cartel land. And it's getting worse from here. 5 of the kidnapped employees have been found deceased. And it led to this massive sell-off. And this leads us to the first point. And I've harped on this channel about this forever. Country risk. Country risk. This is the reason why I prefer to invest in North America, Australia. That's the reason why I don't touch Africa, where, by the way, these kidnapping things happen all the time as well. and why you have to be very, very careful with Latin America. There's some great companies out there, some great countries. I mean, obviously the people are fantastic. I'm a huge Mexico fan. I mean, how can you not? That country is incredible. The people are so positive and friendly and just a great place. Okay, nobody will ever think the Mexicans are the Japanese of Latin America when it comes to, working culture. But boy, when it comes to having a fiesta, top notch. But the dark side of Mexico is the cartels. And obviously this does not only count for Mexico. We look at Colombia, obviously, but almost anywhere in Latin America. And now we've reached a new level. And this is the true reason why this stock is down 50%. And yes, when you invest in the US, when you invest in Canada, you still will have all the permitting issues. You will probably have environmental issues. You have red tape that you have to deal with, but you do not have to deal with things like this. And that's why I've always said since the start of this channel, made in America, and this includes obviously Canada, but also Australia, is the theme of this super cycle. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, hit the subscribe button so you don't miss videos like these in the past when I explained exactly what I'm talking about. So the question is now, where do we stand? The sell-off of 50%, and it's a massive sell-off. People are getting out at any price. It's not so much that 10 people got kidnapped. That's super unfortunate. It's tragic. But the stock market, let's face the facts, doesn't really care about that. I mean, it deals with wars and all kinds of other tragedies. If that was it, the stock wouldn't be down that much. No, it's the uncertainty. Nobody knows what this exactly means. And that's the problem. Is this just 10 employees getting caught up? It's in a horrific event of terrible luck, in a cartel infighting? Is this a bribery thing? Or is this the start of the cartel saying, wait a minute, the silver price has gone up significantly. We have these silver mines in our own country. We have large parts of the local police forces, local politicians in our pockets. We should get in on that mining business and tell these Western companies, you want to mine here? You're gonna pay us for you to protect you. And if that's the case, then things become a real issue in Mexico for a lot of the mining companies, because then we can't really calculate out what the values will be, because we don't know how much they would have to pay the cartels. But again, that might not even be the case. Nobody knows. You see, I'm getting crazy about it because this is the uncertainty. And the stock market hates nothing more than uncertainty. It can live with bad news. That's not a problem. Obviously, it loves good news. Who doesn't? But the thing it cannot live with is uncertainty. So, Vizsla Silver already had some headwinds because now they're in the permitting process. And permits in Mexico, the situation has gotten a little better after the government change, but it's not great. They are in the development phase now. They want to build a mine. But this management is not a mine building management. It's really important when it comes to mining companies that you understand there are very, very few managers out there that can do everything from exploration to permitting to mine building to mine operations. Right? Most managements are specialized in certain things, and then they get the specialists to do the thing. So I would have had zero doubt that the Vizsla management would have gotten in tip-top, world-class mine builders to build that mine for them. But who's going to come and work for Vizsla Silver on a project in cartel land where a few weeks ago 10 people got kidnapped? Who's going to do that? If you're a top mine builder, you have your choice which projects you want to work on. So we already had these problems with Vizsla Silver. Now we also have the question, what will the cartels do? This whole situation creates a problem because which senior producer would be interested to shell out major money to buy Vizsla Silver? That option is kind of off the table now as well. So it's really a difficult situation. I have been in Vizsla Silver since they were exploring, so I've been in it for a long time, and I took out, obviously, like you should always do, you need to pay yourself when the stock goes up, and I took out my investment money, so I'm playing with house money here, but obviously I still had a lot more house money 2.5 weeks ago than I have now. Here's how I see the situation. If I'm not a Vizsla Silver shareholder and I buy the stock now, and the cartel situation calms down, I'm probably going to get a double. It might go back to 10. Now, to be fair, Vizsla Silver had concerns about the safety situation before, so that had always been part of the story, right? But let's say things calm down. So we'll go back to 10. And if things go all right, not only with the cartels, but also with the permitting and the mine building, you probably get an upside of 300%, which is very attractive, but not fantastic. Because on the downside, you probably get a downside of 80% if the cartel situation escalates. I can get 300% upside long term, mid to long term. And then obviously if the silver price goes crazy, let's say it reaches long term, as I said in last weekend's video, the heights that I expect the silver price to go. And by the way, if you haven't watched the video of my price target for the silver bull cycle, you can watch the video. The link is in the comments. Yeah, if we go to these levels, then obviously Vizsla Silver will go up a lot higher, but so will other silver stocks that I can buy, and I get the same upside, get a lot lower risk, and I specifically don't get the cartel black box. That's how I see it. We are below the 50 now, as you can see in the daily purple line. We have broken the uptrend from Trump Liberation Day, confirmed, done. We have now broken below the 200, which is tough, because if you look back at it, you see that the 200 basically carried the whole uptrend in Vizsla Silver from 2024, right? It held support here, it held support here. Yeah, we went below it quickly on Liberation Day, but then regained it, held it here, and now we are below it for the first time in about 2 years. Yeah, short term, Vizsla Silver is oversold and ready for a bounce, and I personally will use that bounce to sell my position. Now, does it suck to sell your position here and not at prices around 950? Yes, it does. However, that's part of being a mining investor. The worst thing you can do when things like this happen, and usually it's not cartel things. In Africa, it sometimes can be geopolitical stuff, civil wars or something like that breaking out. But it can be something like permitting problems with the mine building, or if you have a mine in production, there'll be some serious problems happening there. It just happens. It's part. The worst thing you can do is then to freeze like Olaf from Frozen and not do anything. So I have to understand, me, Daniel, as a Vizsla Silver shareholder, this is a new situation. It's basically a new project now. Because yes, we had the cartel situation before, but it was never an existential issue to this world-class silver project that they have. Now it is. So I'm going to sell it because I can make the returns that I would expect for Vizsla Silver somewhere else with less risk. However, here becomes the interesting part. If we keep selling off and the new earnings release is due 2 days after PDAC. By the way, I'll be in Toronto in PDAC, so if you see me running around, please come and say hello. And Maybe we'll grab a coffee or something. I assume they don't have beer there. I don't even like beer, even though I'm German. I know, I'm a disgrace for my nation, but coffee is great. So I would assume, I mean, this will be the most anticipated earnings call. Nobody will care about the numbers. That's not the issue. It's the conference call. That'll be the most anticipated conference call of any mining company, maybe 2026, the whole year. It's that important. I would assume that we're going to see movement in the share price before that, because probably something is going to come out on PDAC. Some people will know something, will hear something. So that is coming up. And if this, whatever's coming out, doesn't please the shareholders, especially the institutions, they'll just sell the stock. And they don't care. They just say, get me out, broker boy. That's what you get your commissions for. Let's go. And they'll sell off. And then you see the zone where we would go is really somewhere between 380 to about 330. Because if we put a FIB on this thing, quite interesting, from the April lows, then you can see we're basically right at the 618. And the 786 is right in this zone as well, right here. So this is the target zone where I think the share price could fall to. We could get a really clean retest of the breakout, because if we zoom out, you see this is the breakout level here that happened in May 2025. We never retested it. We just went straight up. I mean, if we retrace this thing, absolutely possible. And now at these levels, now the situation changes a little bit as far as the risk reward. Because at these levels, Vizsla Silver could be a 10-bagger long term if they solve the cartel issue. So to find a 10-bagger potentially with a world-class asset that is already de-risked in a lot of ways, that is very rare in 2026. And also, I can limit my downside by putting the stop right under this blue support zone, the old resistance zone. So I get stopped out with 20-25% downside risk unless something terrible happens and the stock gaps down, right? That's always a possibility. But in even that case, you should be able, let's say you get out with like a 40% loss, 50% loss. I get a 10-bagger upside with a 50 on a massively de-risked project. On a 50% downside, that's a risk reward that I might be willing to take a shot at. That's really interesting, because most of the 10-baggers you will find now, again, considering that the silver price doesn't go bananas to the upside, are explorers, mostly even early stage explorers. And remember, early stage explorers, historically, 90% of them, their projects will never get into production. Now, it'll be a little lower now because we have record high silver prices. Let's say it's 70%, right? Which tells you how wild it is to invest in mining stocks, right? You're basically saying, yeah, you know what's a great idea? I'm going to bet on something that's going to fail in 7 out of 10 cases. That's really what you're doing when you invest in these young explorers, unless you really know what you're doing. But even then, and this is the third lesson learned, diversification is the key. My position in Vizsla Silver was not bigger than in any other company that I invest in, any other mining company, because I'm putting my capital on different companies. So when a hit like this happens, and before that I paid myself, take out the money so you can make these house money trades. That's very, very important with the mining companies. Then you just have the luxury problem that I have now, where I'm crying in the fetal position over gains that I lost. That's a great problem to have. And again, that is achievable if you follow these concepts that I just told you about. But if we really break down, and I can see this happening, at prices around $3.60 to $3 Canadian. By that time, panic meter will hit max panic. For some people, that might be an interesting long-term trade. And if that trade works, man, that'll be one of the best trades of this cycle, just because how great this project is and what it can be. Because again, they own large land masses around the core project that have not been explored yet. And the upside, 10-bagger is not the limit. The upside could be way higher than that. Now, again, you need the stomach for it. You need the risk profile for it. It's not for everybody. And we really need to see what happens with the cartel situation. And if this is a thing that may jump over to different cartel areas, and that it may become a bigger problem with Mexico than at the moment we all hope it is. So that's a situation. I wish I could give you clear information, but the truth of the matter is, I don't know. Vizsla Silver management doesn't know. The freaking Mexican government doesn't know. The Canadian government doesn't know. Nobody knows. Everybody's kind of fishing in the dark right now. And when that is the case, you get what you see here. Massive sell-off because people say, hey, I'd rather be out and I can redeploy the capital into a different investment opportunity where I know the situation better and it's more clear than it is with Vizsla Silver. So if we get another update, if we get developments that are important, I'll do another special. Until then, we'll talk next week. We'll talk energy. We'll talk nat gas. We'll talk about an energy sector. Man, it looks really good. Nobody's talking about it for sure. And we'll talk overall markets, because there's some sectors where we're going to make a lot of money, but it ain't tech. But until then, have a great weekend. Bye-bye.